I'd like to welcome everyone to the June 22nd meeting of the Sturbridge Planning Board. This is our first in-person meeting since March of 2020. The first item is to approve the minutes of the May 25th meeting. At 6:35, we'll have a public hearing on a special permit request for Shaw's Supermarket. At 6:45, we'll have a continuation of a public hearing for special permit and site plan approval for 195, 197, 201, and 201A Charlton Road, Noble Energy Real Estate Holdings, LLC. At 6:55, we'll have a continuation of a public hearing for Fisk Hill East Realty Trust, requesting a definitive subdivision approval for property located at 30 Main Street and 20 Fisk Hill Road. At 7:15, we'll have a request for modification of curbside pickup for 365 Main Street, Local Roots Cannabis Store. At 7:25, we'll have a consideration of the right of first refusal for 355 Lead Mine Road. At 7:30, we'll have reorganization of the board. Following that, we'll have town planner update, then old and new business and adjournment. All members of the planning board are present with the exception of Dane Labonte. We also have Jean Boubon, town planner, and Janae Lacey, administrative assistant here. We have the minutes from May 25th. Has everyone had an opportunity to review them?
Yes.
Any questions, comments, concerns? If not, can we have a motion to accept?
So moved. Russell?
Russell, thank you. A second?
Second.
Great. All right, Chris. Jeff?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
I guess we don't have to do that. We can just, all in
Yes.
favor. All right, we don't have to do that.
Right.
All in favor? Opposed, nobody. Very good. Saving all kinds of time. Great. Okay. So it's not quite 6:35. Do you want to start on your update, or?
I can. So in your packet, there's a waterways application for Peter Mimo. It's really just for your information. It's required to be filed with the planning board. I don't see anything that should concern the planning board. It's really for some improvements, a stairway down to his existing water lines and well, and authorization for a seasonal ramp and a floating dock. So just wanted to provide that for your information.
Great.
I have a couple of things that are not on the report. There was the Amazon warehouse in Charlton. They filed a NEPA filing. However, we were not notified. And the statute indicates that if an adjoining town is going to be impacted by a proposal, for instance, if any of the intersections in Sturbridge were part of the traffic study, we should have been notified. So, sure enough, we have 4 intersections that were studied as part of their traffic review, and we were not notified. So, the MEPA meeting is tomorrow morning, and this was for the environmental notification form. And the comments are due by June 29th. However, this afternoon, Mr. Bridges requested a 30-day extension to comment because we weren't given appropriate notice. So we're still waiting to hear from them. I will be logging on to the MEPA meeting, as I believe Mr. Bridges will tomorrow as well. But just to keep you posted on that, we're hopefully getting additional time to have a meeting on that.
Great.
Background noise is coming.
As an abutting town, is there any recourse? Is it just an extension by 30 days, or you just say that generally?
We're just asking for an extension, so, and I did ask today if we had to submit that in writing, or if I could just indicate that at the meeting tomorrow. I really hadn't heard back. That's when they asked me which intersections in Sturbridge were impacted. So I gave them the list of intersections that were included in the traffic study. So we'll wait and see.
Very good. Okay, it looks like it's 6:35. Sue, do you want to read the public hearing notice for Shaw's Supermarket?
Charlie, excuse me 1 second. Could I just ask anyone not presenting or not speaking if you could mute? Because we're getting feedback from somebody's line. All right, all set, Charlie.
Good.
In accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 11, the Planning Board will hold a public hearing in person at Town Hall on Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021 at 6:35 on the application of ID Sign Group Incorporated, 9 Bristol Drive, Southeastern, Mass. The applicant requests a special permit pursuant to Chapter 22, Section 22.05.05 of the zoning bylaw regarding the erection and maintenance of signs in excess of what is specifically allowed in the bylaw. The applicant is proposing a second building sign on the front facade to promote a new contactless grocery shopping service, which is in excess of the 2 on-premise signs per brand allowed under the sign bylaw. The property is located at 178 Main Street, Sturbridge, Mass.
Very good, thank you. Jean, do you want to go over what that is?
Yes. So we have Jamie Fisher from ID Sign Group with us this evening.
Yes.
He's joining us virtually. And this is a small building-mounted sign for Shaw's to promote their contactless pickup. There's a rendering in your packet. Actually, I'll allow Janae to share her screen so she can put the rendering up for anyone watching. Make her the presenter. All right, so you can see the rendering there, and it's a little hard to see on the monitor here, but there's an arrow that indicates where the sign will be posted. And there will be 3 designated parking spaces in that area to allow people to order their groceries online, and then go ahead and just drive up, call a number, and somebody will come out with their groceries. So this is a service that started during COVID, and it's been very popular, and Shaw's plans to keep this service for its customers. And I think if you have questions on the specifics of the sign, Jamie can go over those with you. They did appear before the Design Review Committee yesterday, and the design was approved.
Okay, very good. Does anyone have any questions or comments either for Jamie or in general? Looks pretty straightforward. Okay. Jamie, is there anything you'd like to add, even though we didn't ask her any questions?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, very well said. I think it was an all-encompassing kind of synopsis on what the client is looking to install. Essentially, it's just a non-illuminated rondel with some verbiage that states "Drive Up and Go," which is kind of their slogan. It's an acronym, DUG. They're calling it the DUG program. And yeah, it's just an acrylic dimensional letter set along with the accompanying rondel.
Great, very good. Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we have anyone in the public that would like to comment on this, or anyone on calling in?
Do we have anyone on the line that would like to comment on the proposed sign for the Shaw's Supermarket at 178 Main Street?
All set, very good. Okay, can we have a motion then to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Opposed, no one? Okay, the meeting is closed. Would anyone like to have a motion to approve the special permit as requested by ID Sign Group on behalf of Shaw's and shown on the application, the supplemental materials provided?
So moved.
Mike? Sue?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Opposed, nobody? Very good. Great.
Thank you, Jamie.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
You too.
Bye now.
Bye.
Okay, so we have a few more minutes before the next one, so do you want to
Okay.
continue with your?
Sure. So the next meeting is July 13th, and we will have a special permit request for 178 Main, again, the former JCPenney location. They're actually proposing to divide the space into 3 spaces. It will be a fitness center. Actually, we can divulge it's Planet Fitness. They filed the plans with the name on it, so it will be Planet Fitness, and 2 retail spaces that are, as of yet, not rented out. The plaza is about 164 parking spaces underparked, so they will require a special permit from the planning board to be able to change the uses and continue just utilizing the existing parking. They have submitted a traffic study with their application, and I have not yet reviewed it, but it speaks to the traffic flow, the different hours that different stores are open, and why they believe that it will work. So we'll be reviewing that prior to the meeting, and we'll be providing a report. And then also that evening, since the zoning bylaw and general bylaw recodification passed at the annual town meeting, we need to also recodify our rules and regulations. So that would be our subdivision, stormwater, application review fees, everything that's contained in that rules and regulations booklet that you have. So we'll be holding the public hearing on that as well,
Great.
on that night.
So when
And-
that's all done, does general code have any date as to when it'll be on the computer and ready to go on the website?
No, because we're not really sure when we'll get the approval from the Attorney General's
Okay.
office, so it will all hinge on that. We're hoping, so Janae actually worked with the town clerk last week, got all the paperwork ready and sent into the Attorney General's office Wednesday or Thursday. I believe that all went in, so we're hopeful maybe by August, but I think a lot of it will depend on how busy they are.
Right,
And there's an awful lot of paper to look through.
Right.
Because even though there weren't a lot of substantive changes, there are a lot of changes because
Right.
everything's being renumbered. So
Yeah.
we had to send them an entire red line version and then a clean version. So time will tell how long that will take.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know if anyone is familiar with that, but, quite a few cities and towns in Mass have that, and it's really great. It's a really good searchable database. You can put anything in there, and the information comes back from your general bylaws, your zoning bylaws, your regulations. It's really a nice feature to have, so we hope people really, get some good use out of it.
There's also going to be the opportunity for the public, if they wanted to purchase a bound copy, they can purchase directly from general code publishers.
Great.
Obviously, for any court cases or anything, we would have to get certified copies through our town clerk's office, but I think that's another nice service. And then you can also just save things from individual sections. So for example, we have the zoning bylaw on the website broken up by chapter, but the general bylaws and things like that aren't. So it should make everything user-friendly to try to find.
Yeah, it really is. Good.
Hopefully. And she did say that we were one of the quickest communities in Massachusetts that they had ever worked with. We got it done in the quickest amount of time, so
Right.
I think that was good. So
Very good, yeah.
I'm glad to get it off my desk. It was a horrible,
You did a great job.
it was a
on it.
terrible process.
You really put a lot of effort in. We really
A
appreciate
little
it.
more than I ever dreamed, so.
It went much smoother, with you than, it didn't go quite that smoothly in Palmer when we were doing it there, but I'm glad it went well. Very good. So we have a few more minutes, I think.
A few more minutes still. What else can I tell you? I'm on vacation next week.
Great.
So Janae will be in the office, but I will be out starting this Friday through the 4th of July. I will not come back until that Monday, Tuesday, which is the 6th, I believe, because 4th of July falls on Sunday. We are closed on Monday.
Right.
I have a few more things for the, more appropriate at the end of the meeting.
Okay, that's fine. We only have another minute or so
Okay.
before we can move on. We could start old business, but I'd probably lose track, so we'll hold that to the end. Okay, it looks to me like it's 6:45. We're having now a continuation of a public hearing for a special permit and site plan approval for 195, 197, 201, and 201A Charlton Road, Noble Energy Real Estate Holdings, LLC. The applicant proposes to construct an 8,437 square foot travel plaza and a 16,640 square foot two-story electric vehicle discovery center. So with that, I'll turn it over to the proponents, or to Jane, if you want an introduction, or?
Yes, so I can, since the last meeting, we've had a few memorandums back and forth. We've provided all of the board and staff comments to Noble and their team, and they have addressed those comments. And then, based on review, of the new submittals, we had a few additional questions, and those have since been addressed as well. The main kind of outstanding issues dealt with really circulation in the parking lot and traffic impacts on Route 20. And mainly, you'll remember the two key issues that were outstanding were the alignment of the proposed traffic signal with the bank across the street. So in your packet, you do have a copy of a letter from the bank indicating that they have a willingness to work with the applicant, and they are working to align that, and they will be relocating their driveway to accommodate that. And then also, the other issue was the exit only, where the trucks would exit after they filled with the diesel fueling. So those have been, Jeffrey Dirk, who was here on the meeting as well, has provided some additional information that's been reviewed by John Shevlin, and they'll both be able to speak to those issues this evening. But I think to start, David and Michael maybe should go through the site plan and point out the changes that have occurred to address all of the questions and concerns that came up regarding circulation and placement of things on the site plan, if that
Sounds good
works.
to me. Good.
Sure, and I guess, I guess from here, given that the microphone, can I just do it from here, or would you
You
like me
can
to?
slide it over
over?
and just speak, whoops, while you're on the, just.
All right, well, hopefully everyone can hear me. My name's David Feist with CMG. With me tonight's Mike Frisbee with Noble Energy. Overall, we made some, sort of minor changes based on the comments as far as, circulation around the site. We really didn't change much as far as, the main is still the same.
Jim, can I get we can't hear. I can't hear.
Oh. Okay, yeah. I guess
Oh,
Okay, so I guess, can everyone hear me now? A little better? So I guess just overall, we didn't really make any sort of site plan changes. We did add just some more defined crosswalks, as you'll see in front of the EV parking canopy, as well as just, some minor adjustments to the landscape plan based on our design review committee meetings. But overall, the plan is essentially the same as it was at the last meeting. The exit only driveway near the diesel on the far, this would be the north east corner of the property, is still the same. And I guess mostly, if I could turn to Jeff Dirk, most of the remaining questions related, I guess, more to the traffic study clarifications that I think were requested.
Okay, very good.
would you like Jeffrey to go over?
Yep, I guess if Jeff could introduce him.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, and good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Jeffrey Dirk. I'm a managing partner with Vanessa Associates. And I think as Jean and Dave had kind of outlined, we did have the chance and the benefit of a peer review by Mr. Shevlin, and we appreciate his prompt comments on the study. He reacted very quickly to our submissions, and so we do appreciate that. It's our opinion that his comments have resulted in a much better site plan and a much better project that's being presented to you tonight. So just by way of kind of a high-level overview of the changes relative to transportation that have occurred since the initial presentation to you, I think probably the most significant is what David had mentioned, which is, ideally from the outset, our goal was to align the bank driveway opposite the project site with the proposed traffic signal. That is a much safer design, much safer operation, and it also improves the flow of traffic along Route 20, which may seem counterintuitive. However, having that exiting movements take place at a signal is much safer. What we're also doing as a result of the opportunity to relocate the bank driveway is we're also going to allow an entering movement to take place there. So what we'll be doing in terms of the cross-section of Route 20 is it will be widened to be able to have left turn lanes in both directions at the driveway to the project. So a left turn lane to enter the property that's the subject of your review tonight, as well as the bank driveway. So left turn movements will now accommodate it in their own travel lane, which is a significant improvement along Route 20, and as you know, as a high-speed, high-volume roadway. And then those left turn movements, both entering the properties as well as exiting both of those sites, will now function under traffic signal control. Again, a much safer operation.
if you continue to the east and to the west, there'll be a continuation of those left turn lanes. So if you continue to the west, so towards Route 84, the ability to have that separate left turn lane to head to, I believe it's Hall Road, will still exist. So that will be improved and reconstructed as a part of the project. And then if you head in the easterly direction, so towards the Charlton area, what's going to happen is that left turn lane is going to convert to a center turn lane. So all of the driveways to the east of the property will also have the benefit of that center turn lane. The center turn lane not only benefits those driveways of the abutting properties, it also benefits the truck egress that David was mentioning, so that there'd be the ability to be able to exit that driveway and have that center area more or less as a refuge. It will not be used by trucks for a refuge. Those trucks will make a complete turning maneuver if they're heading left to head towards 84. They'll be able to do that, but will not use the center turn area as a refuge. It's more or less going to be used for passenger vehicles being able to access some of the abutting driveways. In addition to those improvements, sidewalks will be constructed along both sides of Route 20, and the traffic signal will include a crosswalk. So there'll be the ability for somebody that is at one of the businesses on the north side of Route 20 to now have the benefit of having a signalized crossing where they'll push a push button and be able to cross Route 20 and then be able to patronize the travel center, as well as anyone that's going from the travel center back across the street to patronize the bank. So all of those movements can now happen at the signalized intersection, so it's much safer. The other thing that's being added is 4-foot minimum shoulders, so that there'll be the ability to be able to accommodate bicycle travel. We know it doesn't exist presently along the Route 20 corridor, at least in this area and heading to the east. However, it's an amenity and an opportunity that will be coming with future improvements that MassDOT will be undertaking. So this section of road will essentially be upgraded to accommodate, full sidewalks on both sides, bicycle ability or accommodations on both sides, and then the center turn lane and left turn lanes at the signalized intersection. So those are the changes relative to the plan and the improvements that are going to happen in this area. Relative to specific comments, I think probably the most significant, aside from the truck access, was dealing with the office building. It'll be to the northeast of the project site. And John, if I get the address wrong, I believe it was 198 Charlton Road. One of the things, obviously, due to COVID restrictions, is that office building is not fully occupied. So at the time that we did our traffic counts, we went back and looked at it in response to your peer reviewers' comments. That building was about 1/3 occupied, probably as you imagine, just due to those restrictions. So this last set of analyses that we provided to your peer reviewer dealt with fully occupying that office building and then assessing what those traffic impacts look like with a fully occupied office building and of course with this project in place. So we run our traffic analysis to be able to demonstrate that motorist delays and vehicle queuing within this section of Route 20 and at specific critical intersections would not be exacerbated by the additional traffic from this project. And we've also looked at it in relation to how that additional traffic relates to queuing from the traffic signal, specifically as it would back up towards that east access where the trucks will be exiting. And the critical thing there is that to ensure that the queue doesn't block that driveway. And in fact, as we looked at the longest queue in that left turn lane and in the adjacent through travel lane, that driveway is about at 340 feet away from the stop line at the traffic signal. The queue only gets back maximum about 162 feet. So there's a lot of freeboard between the back of that queue and where the driveway is. And that's very important to ensuring that the driveway can operate in an efficient manner. And also it's important relative to sight lines, so that if you're exiting that driveway, you have more than sufficient sight line in traffic that might be traveling in the eastbound direction, but also to ensure that the queuing doesn't block the ability of someone that's coming out to be able to see any vehicles that might be approaching them. So as you heard, I believe we've satisfied the peer reviewers' comments. And I think that, again, those comments have resulted in a much better site plan and a much better access configuration for the property. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have now or later on in the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we'll have maybe John Shevlin make his comments and see if there's anything he'd like to add, and then we'll have questions from the board and then the public.
Good evening, Mr. Blanchard, members of the board. Thank you for let me go ahead and be part of this review. As Jeff has mentioned, there has been some changes made from the original submission. We have had, I believe, 3 comment letters that have gone into the town, and during the process, I think all the comments have been addressed. I'll go back in regards to the traffic end. I mean, our big thing was obviously at the entrance, making sure that the bank driveway was aligned, just due to the fact that if it wasn't lined up with the traffic signal, I had concerns about cars taking a left turn out of the site, and it sounds like that's moving in the right direction as far as having that driveway lined up with the proposed site here. So I think that's going to help that intersection quite a bit. As Jeff mentioned, the eastern driveway, there's a lot of concerns on our initial site visit with the police department, the chief and the lieutenant. There's concerns in regards to left turns, especially with the trucks coming out of the site. So that was expressed in one of our review comments. Looking at the site layout and looking at the information provided by the traffic, I am in agreement with Vanessa as far as the traffic signal providing gaps. The site distance coming out of the site is very good in both directions. I think the traffic volumes, for the most part, they believe the majority of the truck traffic will be going easterly out of the site, which, looking at where this site's going to be compared to other fueling areas, that being, the pilot on 84, then on Mass Turnpike, there's one east of the entrance or exit on 84. There's also one west out in Ludlow. So I think trucks that are going on the turnpike, if they're not using pilot coming up 84, they're most likely use one of those two. So I would agree that a lot of the truck traffic coming out of the site would be heading towards eastbound. The only question I had in my last review was just in regards to there's a few other trucking facilities that are occurring on Route 20 in the vicinity of the site. And I'm not sure how those operations typically occur. Do the trucks go ahead and fuel up before they go to the site, or do they fuel up as they're leaving? I'm assuming for the most part, and I could not find information on this as far as the operations, but I would assume that they fuel up before going back to the facility where the, called the distribution centers are. So if that's the case, I think a lot of the trucks that may use that are on Route 20 will fuel up, go to the distribution center, and if they do go back to the turnpike, they'll be taking a right out of their site and heading in that direction. So, I think just in summary, I think in regards to what's been provided, I think, I think both access points are going to be able to work efficiently. I think based on the assumptions that were made by Jeff and Vanessa, I believe that the overall operation should have no significant impact on capacity or the safety in the area. So I'm also here as well to answer any other questions if you need any other further clarification.
Okay, thank you, John. Okay, does the board, Jeff, do you have any questions or comments?
I have no questions.
Russ?
Well, I just appreciate the efforts put forth by the proponent and working with John and getting a lot of our recommendations and his, obviously, recommendations to get it worked out. So I think it's a much better, I agree that it's a much better site.
Very good, thank you. Chris?
No questions.
Okay, Mike?
No questions.
Sue?
No questions.
Okay, great. Do we have anyone in the public who would like to comment or raise any questions? If not, we'll check the phone.
Is there anyone on the line that would like to speak on the Noble Energy application at 195 to 201A Charlton Road?
All set, very good. Okay, could I have a motion then to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Jeff?
Second.
Second, Russ. All in favor? Opposed, no one? Okay, Jean, I know we have quite a few
Yes.
conditions here. Do you
let
want to
me
give your recommendation as part of the
take a
motion, and then we'll just vote it?
Do you want me to read all these
Yeah, I think
conditions?
it might be.
Yeah, okay, I might need more water. Okay, so my recommendation is that the board approve the project as proposed with the following conditions of approval. And I should mention these conditions, proposed conditions of approval were provided to the applicant. He had no concerns with any of the proposed conditions. 1, all construction and improvements shall be in conformance with the plans submitted and approved by the planning board. Copy of the approved site plan shall be on site at all times during construction. 2, the recommendations contained within the traffic impact study submitted by the applicants shall be implemented. 3, access to the project site shall be provided by way of 2 driveways configured as follows. A full access driveway that will intersect the south side of Route 20, approximately 460 feet east of Hall Road, that will be placed under traffic signal control, and a one-way exit-only driveway that will intersect the south side of Route 20, approximately 855 feet east of Hall Road. The traffic light installation and design shall be coordinated with Cornerstone Bank so that the bank driveway is relocated as part of this process and included as part of this signalized intersection. If for any reason MassDOT does not approve the installation of a signalized intersection as proposed, this approval shall not be valid and the applicant must return for further approvals. 4, the one-way exit-only project site driveway should be 20 feet in width, with vehicles exiting the driveway placed under stop sign control with a marked stop line provided. In addition, appropriate signs, one-way and do not enter, should be installed to regulate the one-way operation of the driveway. 5, appropriate signs, one-way and do not enter, and pavement markings should be provided to regulate and reinforce the one-way traffic flow through the drive-through facility and along the adjacent bypass lane. 6, vehicles exiting the drive-through window facility and the adjacent bypass lane should be placed under stop sign control with a marked stop line provided prior to the proposed crosswalk that crosses the lanes. 7, all signs and pavement markings to be installed within the project shall conform to the applicable standards of MUTCD. 8, a sidewalk should be constructed on the project site frontage on Route 20 that should be connected to the proposed travel center building and the proposed traffic signal at the main project site driveway, where a marked crosswalk and pedestrian traffic signal equipment and phasing should be provided for crossing Route 20. 9, marked crosswalks and Americans with Disabilities Act compliant wheelchair ramps should be provided for crossing the project site driveways and at pedestrian crossings constructed or modified in conjunction with the project where such accommodations do not currently exist. 10, signs and landscaping located within the intersection site triangle areas should be designed and maintained so as not to restrict lines of sight. 11, snow windrows within site triangle areas shall be promptly removed where such accumulations would impede sight lines. 12, all state and local zoning bylaws, building codes, and regulations must be adhered to. 13, all other necessary permits must be obtained prior to the start of construction. 14, the site shall be kept in a neat and orderly condition throughout the construction process. 15, exterior construction shall only occur during the hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday and 8 a.m. to noon on Saturday. No exterior construction shall occur on Sundays or the following holidays: New Year's Day, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving Day, and Christmas Day. 16, the applicant shall notify the Planning Department office 48 hours prior to the start of construction. 17, snow storage may only be stored as shown on the plan submitted. 18, an emergency contact phone list with at least 2 names and numbers on it shall be supplied to the Sturbridge Police Department and Planning Department to be used by dispatchers in case of an off-hour emergency prior to the start of the project. The list must be updated whenever necessary for the duration of the project. 19, all erosion and sedimentation control shall be installed as shown on the plan and inspected prior to the start of work. 20, a pre-construction meeting shall be held at least 1 week prior to the start of work. Present shall be the applicant's contractors and other appropriate designees, town planner, DPW director, police chief, fire chief, building inspector, or designee. The purpose of the meeting shall be to discuss the construction process, appropriate traffic and safety control measures during construction, stockpile of materials, and inspection of erosion controls. 21, the following dust control measures shall be adhered to throughout the entire construction process. A, spray disturbed areas with water on dry and windy days as needed. B, wash vehicle wheels before leaving site as needed. C, Periodically clean surrounding roadways near the entrance to the site. D, an anti-tracking pad shall be installed and maintained throughout the construction process. 22, construction monitor reports shall be provided to the planning department on a monthly basis until completion of the project. Reports shall be provided by the engineer of record and shall detail work completed, any issues encountered, and any deviations from approved plans. 23, all excavation and trenching shall be in accordance with the state trenching regulation 520 CMR 14, excavation and trench safety. The construction area shall be secured using temporary fencing as needed. 24, the stormwater operations and maintenance plan and site records shall be stored on site to ensure employees are familiar with the demands of the plan. 25, maintenance is required for all plantings as proposed. The plantings shall be reviewed annually by the owner/applicant, and any plant materials requiring replacement shall occur. I thought I was going to make it. 26, an as-built must be provided for all site work, including plantings, when the work has been completed.
Very good, very good. Okay, do we have a motion then to approve it with those conditions?
So moved. Jeff?
Yeah,
Second, Chris?
second, Chris. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, no one? Very good, congratulations. Good luck and good night. Thank
Great,
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next, we have a continuation of the public hearing for Fisk Hill East Realty Trust requesting a definitive subdivision approval for property located at 30 Main Street and 20 Fisk Hill Road.
He's on the phone. Okay. All right.
Jane, do you want to give an
Yes.
introduction? or-
So, since, I think the last meeting, we've received an entirely new set of plans that have been revised consistent with the board approvals on the waivers and the requirement that the roadway be widened. We've also, John Shevlin had requested additional traffic information. That has been provided as well. And this project has been reviewed by staff and reviewed by John Shevlin, and we're of the opinion that it meets all of the requirements of the subdivision control law, and that planning board approval may be granted if there are no additional questions this evening. I must say the Conservation Commission is still in the process of reviewing this plan, and they have continued the public hearing until July 20th. However, after discussion with the applicant and with John Shevlin, it does not appear that any major changes would occur to the infrastructure, so the roadway or the utility installation, sidewalks, stormwater management system, things of that nature. So we felt it prudent to move forward, and the applicant is aware of the requirement to come back to the board if there are any major modifications. Any minor modifications can be addressed as field changes and reflected on the as-built plans. We did, however, have one outstanding issue, and we did ask the applicant to have his traffic engineer present this evening, and we also have John Shevlin present this evening because Mr. Barnes, I believe, is here this evening, and he's patiently got on every phone call since we've started this process. And his main concern is the traffic impact on Fisk Hill Road. So we asked the applicant's traffic engineer to be here this evening to provide his input on how he believes the roadway may be impacted. And then we've asked John Shevlin to be here to, number one, talk about his overall final review of the project, but also to be able to address any other additional concerns the board or Mr. Barnes may have in regards to the traffic impact on Fisk Hill Road.
Okay, good.
And Peter Engel is with us this evening.
How are we?
And Ali Corzani he has called in, so he is caller 2 on the line.
I believe so.
Ali, can you hear us?
Sure. Yeah, yes, Jane, I'm on the phone. Again, my name is Ali Korosani. for the chairman and members of the board, I'm the one who prepared the traffic impact study for this project. And I just want to give a history. Can everyone hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And just to give a history, a similar project was proposed 2007, I believe. I prepared a similar traffic impact study at that point, and essentially the traffic impact study was updated for the new proposal. I understand the concern is for the intersection of Main Street and Fisk Hill Road, and I was just comparing. We looked at three issues here: the traffic that's going to be generated by the proposed development, as well as the accident history and accident rate for the intersection of Fisk Hill Road and Main Street, and of the level of service analysis that indicates how in the future the intersection will be operating, what type of quality of traffic we'll have in the area. Looking at the accident data for comparison, the original study was conducted in 2007. We looked at a 3-year accident period, 2003 through 2005, intersection of Fisk Hill Road and Main Street had an accident rate of 0.58. This time we looked at a 5-year period going all the way back to 2015. So 2015 through 2019, with a total of 10 accidents, and the rate is 0.28, less than half of what it was then. Some of this improvement in safety, that is, could be attributed to the fact that around 2012, Mass DOT improved Main Street and resurfaced the area, and they added left-turn lanes to both Fisk Hill Road and Wallace Street. They're very close to each other, within 300 feet of each other. And because of that, the accident rate has gone down to less than half of it was before. In fact, intersection of Main Street and Wallace Street had an accident rate of 0.07 over a 3-year period in the original study. And then since the improvements, there's been no accidents past 5 years that we looked at. So just indicative of some improvement in the area. The next issue, I believe, is the volume of traffic that's going to be generated by the proposed development, and how many vehicles we expect to be using Fisk Hill Road. Looking at figure 3 of the report on page 16, and we'll see that in the morning, we're talking about 12 vehicles approaching Main Street from Fisk Hill, coming down the hill. These are the folks that be going to the site, and 7 will be taking a right onto Fisk Hill Road. So technically, we'll be adding 1 vehicle, essentially added to the traffic every 5 minutes in the westerly direction, and 1 vehicle added in the opposite direction coming from Main Street every 5.5 minutes, and these are during rush hour traffic. The rest of the day will be very few cars making those turns that be coming from this development, either going to Fisk Hill or coming from Fisk Hill, going to this development. And then all of this is indicated when we did the intersection analysis. For example, in the morning, during morning rush hours, the intersection is operating at level of service of A now, and will be operating at level of service of A in 2027 without the proposed development, and will be operating at level of service of A with the proposed development. The southbound approach, that is Fisk Road coming to Route 131 or Main Street. The southbound approach is operating a level service to B now and be operating a level service to B in the future with or without the development. So there are no changes there. And then we'll look at the PM peak hour. Again, we look at the peak hours in order to assess the worst case scenario here. The intersection is going to be operating a level of service of A again under existing conditions, future no build condition, and future build condition with the development in place. The southbound approach of Fisk Road will be it is operating level of service of B now, will be operating level of service of B without the development in the future, and level of service of C with the development in the future. It's about 4 or less than 4 seconds added to delay of each vehicle exiting Fisk Road. And on Saturday, again, the intersection will be operating a level of service of A under all of those 3 conditions, existing, future no build, and future build conditions. And the southbound will be operating a level of service of B. It is operating on the level of service of B now, and it will be operating under the level of service of B in the future without the development, and level of service of C with the development. Again, the increase in delay is minimal here, and that is indicative that this project will have little or no impact on Fisk Hill traffic.
Okay. Very good. Does
John to...
John want to have some comments on that?
Yes, Bill again. Yeah, we did go through the traffic study and obviously the stormwater report as well. As far as the traffic study goes, we did look at items just as the trip generations, trip distributions, and the analysis was performed, and everything that was just stated as far as the operations and the intersections, based on the data collection and the analysis performed, we're in agreement that the intersection should not have any negative effect as far as safety or capacity with the proposed development.
Very good. Thank you very much, John. Anything else? Well, first, does anyone on the board have any comments or questions? Jeff? No. Russ? Chris? Mike? Sue? Okay. Anyone in the public have any comments? Yes?
Robert Barnes, 42 Fisk Road.
Microwave.
Maybe Sue can borrow your-
Could you come over here?
Hi, Robert Barnes, 42 Fisk Road. And as I stated at one of the earlier meetings where we zoomed in, those are the good old days, right? We've been in Sturbridge now for 38 years, and we love this town. But unfortunately, we just, on our street, it's no longer a rural residential type street. We like it to be that way, but it's more volume and high speeds. There's more accidents. I mean, I could have a closet of mailboxes just to replace what I lose every year, as well as my other neighbors. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it here tonight. But I do have some specific questions, though, with regard to the traffic study. And one major issue is with regard to the timing of the traffic study. When were the on-site observations done for that? During what time period?
Ollie, can you answer that?
Is that for me, through the chair? Is that for me?
Yeah.
All right, again, traffic observation was done during both traffic studies back in 2007 and in 2020 when preparing this traffic study. I personally drive on Fisk Road very often, and I'm very familiar with the traffic on Fisk Road.
Because I would submit that the situation now with, and I'm concerned about public safety in general, but one of our concerns is with regard to Edwards Gas Station. And those 6 pumps have not been operational that long. They provide good service to all of us, and we like to use the facilities, but if you come down Fisk Hill Road or you're on 131, you got traffic coming in and
Right.
out of there. There's
Right.
4
Yeah, excuse me, Mr. Barnes, I mean, what we're really trying to do is look at the impact of this particular project. We know Edwards Gas Station is down there, but we're really looking at the impact from this. And I believe we had 2 traffic consultants now point out the level of service at these intersections hasn't significantly changed at all. In fact, they're the same. And so if we can keep the comments to this particular project, that would be
Well, it
great.
is though, Mr. Blanchard, because if the baseline is not adequately defined, then going from the baseline up, you're not representing the volume. And I will submit that the baseline is incorrect because it really doesn't take into consideration what has happened in that neck of the woods, especially with regards to the additional volume, people driving helter-skelter to get into that gas station. It's augmented the situation a lot, unfortunately.
Okay.
That's
All
the main point.
right. John, could you comment on that, please, about the baseline study here?
Yeah, so the applicant went ahead and did a study, as I mentioned, they had counts that were done previously, and, you know, with COVID going on, it was difficult to go ahead and get current counts that are occurring out there, but they took into account using other counts, historic counts, in order to put adjustments to the accounts that they had previously, and they went ahead and looked to go ahead and bring those up to speed as far as current numbers, which is currently in the industry, that's what was occurring with COVID going on and the volumes changing and everything else. As far as, you know, the gas station, typically that type of use is what you call a pass-by user, where a lot of the traffic is already in the traffic stream. So they're going to go ahead and they're going to be using that type of use. So I think as far as the intersection goes and the volumes that are occurring there, I don't think they would specifically change that much based on the gas station.
Well, I would kindly disagree, but, and point out that the 2,648 trips per day additional is significant for that area.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other comments? You want to see if there's anyone on the phone?
Is there anyone on the line that would like to speak regarding the Fisk Hill East subdivision proposal?
Okay, very good. Now, I notice we have quite a few conditions on this one as well. What I was thinking is maybe we could just kind of give the first sentence to just get an idea of what each condition has to do instead of reading the entire thing. I know.
Thank you. That's why I sent Janae to get another bottle of water, as you could tell. So I am comfortable with the recommendation of John Shevlin that this project as proposed meets all of the subdivision control requirements. And then also, I think the other important thing to note in regards to traffic is Mass DOT ultimately has to approve the access for this project, and they've reviewed the plan and made comments, and the intersection has been modified based on those comments. So with that, I am recommending approval of the project with proposed conditions of approval, which have been provided to the applicant and his representative, and they've noted no concerns. So the first condition is a very lengthy one, but it is endorsement of this approval is contingent upon the provision of a performance guarantee in an amount to be agreed upon by the planning board, DPW director, applicant, and the planning board's representative, in this case, John Shevlin. And so there's an awful lot of language here that speaks to the bonding requirements. Right. Before the project can get underway, we need to either have a covenant or we need to have a bond in place. Condition number 2, the construction of this subdivision is to be completed in accordance with the plans submitted. 3, all proposed construction should occur in a manner so that the absolute minimum amount of natural vegetation is disturbed, especially along the perimeter of the property. 4, no site work whatsoever shall begin until the proposed erosion and sediment controls are in place. All erosion and sediment control measures are to be maintained and upgraded as required throughout the construction of the subdivision. It's a rather lengthy one that also talks about no runoff being able to leave the site and anti-tracking pad being established and sweeping occurring daily. Number 5, applicant shall obtain all necessary permits. 6, approval of this definitive plan shall not be construed to be approval under the Wetlands Protection Act. A valid order of conditions must be obtained from the Conservation Commission. If any changes are made to the plan during this approval process, the applicant is aware of the obligation to return to the board with proposed modifications for review and approval. 7 talks about the board's designee, in this case John Shevlin, making inspections during construction, and the applicant needing to pay for the cost of these. And prior to the start of construction, we'll work with the applicant's representative and John Shevlin to agree upon a list of inspections. Also talks about, number 8 is talking about staking out the center line, sidelines, and other features of the roadways. And that's a pretty lengthy paragraph there that talks about how that needs to occur.
Right.
9 is talking about the materials and methods of road construction conforming to the specifications of the Subdivision Control Law and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Transportation standard specifications for highways and bridges. 10, all utilities shall be installed as shown on the approved plans. Prior to the installation of the streetlights, the design and proposed ownership of the lights shall be determined by the board. 11, there must be creation in the deeds of any appropriate easements to enter the property for maintenance of any drainage structures or utilities. 12 talks about the applicant being responsible for maintenance and sanding and snow removal of the subdivision roadways prior to acceptance by the town, as well as all drainage structures. 13, the applicant shall submit 3 as-built plans, and it gives the specific details of what must be included in those. And then 14, all improvements shall be completed within 2 years from the date of endorsement of the definitive plan, unless further extension is granted by the planning board for good cause.
Very good. Thank you. And, before we close the public hearing, I'd just like to, comment a little bit more on the idea that we recognize from the beginning of this project that it is a significant amount of land. And the landowner, had the opportunity to have access to this land from various points along Fisk Hill Road. And instead, they chose to put in this subdivision road, which required a variance because of the length of it and so forth. And it was, primarily to make sure that the impact on the traffic on Fisk Hill Road was really kept to a minimum. And I think it's really accomplished that. And I certainly, thank the developer for, the consideration in coming up with a plan to be able to, serve this property without the much more serious impact that it could have had on Fisk Hill Road. So with that, Russ?
We're missing a couple, Gene. The holidays, I'll work on the holidays.
Oh,
And also the phone numbers for emergency dispatch.
Yes, you're right. I didn't carry those over from our typical special permit conditions. Let me find Nobles, and I can recite those. Thank you, Russell.
I don't think we can agree with those, Jamie. We always work Christmas.
Let me find those. Okay.
So Russ, you're going to have to watch our meetings and follow.
So we will add, I don't know what number we are on, I think 15. So we will add a 15 that provides the operating hours. Exterior construction shall only occur during the hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, 8 to noon on Saturday. No exterior construction shall occur on Sundays or New Year's Day, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving Day, and Christmas Day. Also, the applicant shall notify the planning department 48 hours prior to start of construction. And we will add a 17, an emergency contact phone list with at least 2 names and numbers shall be provided to the Sturbridge Police Department and Planning Department to be used by dispatchers in case of an off-hour emergency prior to the start of construction. The list must be updated whenever necessary for the duration of the project. So I apologize for my oversight.
No problem. Okay, so those will be included as part of the conditions. Do we have a motion then to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Russ?
Second.
Second, Sue? Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed, no one? Very good. Can we have a motion then to approve this subject to the conditions with the additions made by Jean and Russ?
So moved.
Russ,
Second.
second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed, no one? Very good, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, quick note to super efficient planning department. Jean, Janae, they do an unbelievable job, responsive, super attentive. Yeah, you get two great ones here. And nothing to take away from the board. They're doing a great job though. And too often you hear gripe sessions about the town approval process, but not at the planning board. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we certainly, I know we're not done yet, but thank you. If I had said that a year ago, it would look like I was rigging the system. But, no, they did an unbelievable job, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And Mary.
Okay, so next on the agenda, we have modification of curbside pickup for 365 Main Street, local routes. Jean, do you want to go over that?
Yes. So online this evening, we have, and I think we can let John Shevlin go. Thanks, John Shevlin.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
On the meeting this evening, we have Dean Iandoli and Ron Lecuyer. I'm sorry, Ron, I always kill your last name. I sincerely apologize.
That's okay.
And he is the security manager for Local Routes. And really, this is a very simple request. It is to move the curbside pickup locations in the front of the building rather than behind the building as initially proposed. And I think maybe Ron or Dean could provide an overview of why they feel these changes are needed.
So, Dean is coaching his son's baseball game, so it looks like he's still online, but I know you have to put his phone on to coach his son's game. So, as you know,
We can't tell what you're saying, Ron.
Might be a little close to the microphone.
how about now? Is it better if I talk softer?
Better, it's still a little.
A little bit, it's not too
It's
good.
still pretty muffled.
Doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm really one on the line. Give me 1 second.
Can you guys hear me any better?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry, as I said, I'm coaching my son's baseball game at the moment, and it's a tournament, so I do apologize. It's really straightforward. You know, we looked at the first month and a half of operation with the curbside out back, and we determined that we could streamline the whole process just a lot better by having it right out front, and that's why we're making this request.
Okay. Jean, do you have anything?
So this has been reviewed by myself and the chief of police, and neither of us have any concerns, and we do have an email from the chief, and I believe Lieutenant Lombardi as well has reviewed this, and we have no concerns. We would recommend that the board vote to approve the change in location of the curbside pickup parking spaces.
As shown on the documentation plans provided. Very good. We have a motion?
So moved.
Sue? Second?
Second.
Russ? Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? No one. Very good.
set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, on the right of first refusal, did you want to table that, or?
Yes, so I have in your packet this evening a right of first refusal for 355 Lead Mine Road. Since the time that I added this to the agenda, I have heard that potentially the Trails Committee may have an interest in the property. So I think the prudent course of action would be to give them time to review the property and weigh in. And I would recommend we table this until July 13th. And I have let the prospective purchaser know.
Okay, great. No issues with that? Good. Yes, go ahead, Jeff.
Just to comment on that, the notice is insufficient. The attorney has notified the seller that there need to be corrections to the notice, so the time frame has not started yet.
Oh, good. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, next item on the agenda is reorganization of the board.
Okay. All right. So I'll start with chair. And do we have any nominations for the position of chair?
I nominate Charles Blanchard.
Okay, it's been nominated. for Charles Blanchard. Is there a second?
Second.
Would you accept that nomination, Mr.
I would.
Blanchard? Are there any other nominations for the position of chair? Seeing none.
Okay.
Could we have a vote on the motion and second to appoint Charles Blanchard as chair of the planning board? All in favor?
I abstain.
Abstain? Oh. Okay, unanimously, thank you. And the next position is vice chair / clerk. Do we have any nominations for that position that is currently held by Sue Waters?
I nominate Sue Waters.
I'll second that.
Okay, so it's been nominated and seconded. That route. Sue Waters continue as vice chair clerk. Would you accept that nomination?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations for the position of vice chair / clerk? Seeing none, all those in favor of Sue Waters? Unanimous. Thank you.
Very good.
And then we have our Central Mass Regional Planning Commission representative and alternate. So one seat is currently held by Michael Chisholm, and the other is currently held by Chris Bouchard. Do we have any new nominations, or would we like to designate the current members to continue to serve?
Yeah, actually, that was something I wanted to bring up. I don't think I'm going to be able to stay
Okay.
in that capacity. I think it's been about 3 years now, but I've got a lot of personal stuff happening that's
Yeah.
going to make it really difficult for me to attend those meetings consistently. And I know we earn credits for doing
Mm-hmm.
so, so if someone else would like to do that, I think I would really appreciate it.
All right. Can, instead of nomination, do we have a volunteer? No. Maybe we can table that until Dane is here, or we can
Yeah,
just
let's-
appoint Dane.
I'd like to.
Dane.
Let's do that.
I bit the CPC bullet, so.
All right, so we will leave Mike and, Chris, are you willing to at least continue to serve as alternate?
I can. I'll be honest, I haven't attended probably a fraction of what Mike has, so it just time-wise, it's hasn't been easy for me, but I'm happy to pitch in when I can.
Can we
We can,
let Dane and I discuss it offline?
yeah,
And I think we can come to some to take over for those.
okay,
That'd be great.
perfect. So we'll leave that as is for now, and we'll discuss at a later meeting. And then I just had, oh, excuse me, somebody, okay,
All set?
I am.
Okay, old and new business? Jeff, any old and new business?
Nothing. No.
Russ?
I brought it up about the shrubs at Local Roots, and I noticed they replaced all the dead shrubs.
Oh, that's
That
good.
looks a lot better. I meant to bring that up when they were, forgot, but
Very good. Chris?
Nope, nothing from me.
Mike? Sue? Okay.
Could I just say one thing?
Motion to adjourn?
No, not yet, not
We want
yet, not yet. So I would just like to acknowledge Mr. Blanchard's, I'm sorry, Mr. Chamberlain's service to the community. We've worked together for 16 years. Russell is the member that was on the board when I was hired and is the last one of the original board that is still here. And I've really appreciated working with you. I appreciate the fact that you always pick up your packet, you always have questions, you always contact me to let me know of things you've heard going on in the community that sometimes I'm the last to hear. And you'll really be missed. You're leaving some big shoes to fill. And then I know Charlie has a few things that he would like to say as well.
Right, we have some guests here coming into the audience for this time. So Russ is first, and Sandy's here too. So Russ's first planning board meeting was on May 24th, 2005, which is, quite a while ago, 16 years ago. He's also served us as a representative to the Community Preservation Committee and to the Betterment Committee. Now, since Russ joined the planning board, the population in Sturbridge has increased 25%. The total property valuation has increased almost 20%. He's attended over 300 planning board meetings. He's reviewed over 100 site plans, over 20 subdivisions, over 200 A&Rs, and over 90 site plan waivers. And he still has had time to restore vintage vehicles, plant a major league garden, make the best tomato sauce, pickles, beets and peppers around. He does a great job with that. And I just want to say it's been really a great pleasure, to work with you. You've always had, as Gene mentioned, such a thoughtful and careful review of all the items that come before us. And I think you've really set the standard for how we all have to handle this position. We really appreciate that. And it's been a great pleasure to work with you, and we certainly wish you the best in your retirement.
Thank you. I'm going to miss it. Got a few things coming up in my life, and with my daughter in Hawaii, there's going to be a few trips to Hawaii, and so, which I'm looking forward to. And I'm going to miss working with Gene. We've always had a great working relationship. I don't think we've disagreed too much.
A couple of times. Just a couple of times. We always settle it quickly, though.
Appreciate the comments and the nice comments from everybody, and I wish you all well. I think it's for me, I have a lot of faith in the board, and it was just the right time to do this. So I appreciate the selectmen having confidence in appointing me every 5 years for the last few times and everything. So I'll miss it. I definitely will miss it, but I will be watching. And
make sure you call in when we make mistakes.
I'll make my comments known.
All right, very good.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Russ.
And we do. We do have a little reception in your honor in the other room. We do have a special gift that's being made that unfortunately hasn't arrived, but we will contact you as soon as it does, and you'll just have to come back to get it.
All right. Motion to adjourn then?
So moved.
Second.
Very good.
All in
We all-
favor?
all in favor?
All in favor?
See?